I'm Tracy Sabol. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, praying for the Pope. Pilgrims from around the world are holding vigils for the Holy Father. We have a report from Rome. They gather together. President Donald Trump holds his first cabinet meeting and Elon Musk is in attendance. We're at the White House. Health scare. The Texas measles outbreak is worsening as the number of cases rises and the first death is officially reported. We have the latest. Plus, the most important meal. The 20th National Catholic Prayer Breakfast is on Friday in the nation's capital, and a prominent politician is set to take part. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us. Our top story tonight, we begin with an encouraging update on the Holy Father. The Vatican says that Pope Francis has shown further slight improvement as he battles double pneumonia. However, his prognosis is still guarded. A chest CT scan showed, quote, normal evolution of the infection, while blood tests have confirmed an improvement. Additionally, the slight kidney insufficiency detected a few days ago has now receded. The Holy Father received the Eucharist this morning and resumed work in the afternoon. And while there are signs of improvement, pilgrims and tourists from around the world are praying for him in Rome. EWTN Vatican correspondent Colin Flynn has more.
Benedetta fra le donne, e benedetto è il frutto del tuo seno, Gesù.
As the Pope remains in hospital, at the Vatican in Rome, people are praying the Rosary. Last night, over 4,000 people are estimated to have gathered in St. Peter's Square, led by Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle,
sia santificato il tuo nome,
asking God to grant Pope Francis good health. And earlier today, thousands of people were at the Vatican. Some pilgrims processing up towards the Basilica as part of the Year of Jubilee. Others, tourists who, even if not Catholic, were still thinking of Pope Francis.
I am Muslims. Yes, I'm Muslims. Le pape est vraiment...
The Pope is truly a great figure who represents his religion. I saw that there is a prayer for him tonight at 9 p.m., and I will also pray for him.
Et je vais prier aussi pour lui.
The people moving around the Vatican were from all over the world, happy to be at the Vatican in Rome, but saddened by the fact that Pope Francis was not inside, like this tourist from France.
It's a very strange situation because the weather is nice now, and the square is very beautiful. But there is this possibly terrible news coming in a few days. It creates a bit of a mixed feeling.
A couple from Mexico told me that the possibility of losing the current successor of Peter was painful for them.
This
is news that rips the heart of all Christians because, as we know, from our own tradition and from all that we have in some way aspired to spiritually, that he represents the path that Jesus left us in order to be able to meet him.
Among the tourists, many from the United States.
Well, we will pray for his recovery, and he's been an inspirational pope, and we hope he remains alive and well for many years to come.
Different nationalities, even different religions, but the one thing they all had in common, as this woman from the Czech Republic told me, is that they are praying for the Holy Father.
For me, it's just something so special to be here exactly in the days when the whole world is joining the prayer for Holy Father in these moments.
Tonight, the prayers continue at the Vatican here in Rome with another rosary. People hoping that the power of prayer will help their Pope overcome his current battle. At the Vatican in Rome, Colin Flynn for EWTN News Nightly.
For the Holy Father. And from the Vatican to the White House, where President Donald Trump held his first cabinet meeting today with the world's richest man, Elon Musk, in attendance. Musk is working with cabinet secretaries to identify waste, fraud, and abuse. All this as thousands of federal workers lose their jobs or worry about losing them. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen.
Tracy, the meeting today comes amidst massive cuts to the federal government, the national debt hovering right around $36 trillion as we speak. And even before things got going today, President Trump posted on Truth Social, all cabinet members are extremely happy with Elon.
As the cabinet meeting at the White House gets underway, first a prayer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this awesome privilege, Father, to be in your presence.
Moments later, his cabinet seated next to him, President Donald Trump tells reporters,
"This country has gotten bloated and fat and disgusting and incompetently run."
Also at the cabinet meeting today, Elon Musk, who is working with the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, as efforts continue to slim down agencies. And regarding this past weekend's email to federal workers,
To be clear, I think that email perhaps was best interpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check review. Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and 2 neurons? So if you have a pulse and 2 neurons, you can reply to an email.
President Trump saying you have a lot of people who have not responded.
So we're trying to figure out, do they exist? Who are they? And it's possible that a lot of those people will be actually fired. And if that happened, that's okay, because that's what we're trying to do.
Meanwhile, USAID facing cuts on its website, telling workers this Thursday and Friday only, on February 27th and 28th, 2025, USAID staff will have the opportunity to retrieve their personal belongings, and staff will be given approximately 15 minutes to complete this retrieval and must be finished removing items within their time slot only. And one probationary federal employee and Army veteran explained his reaction when he got notice he was out the door.
I was just crushed, just devastated by the news. I never would have expected something like that in my email. I thought it was just going to be just a regular work day. I show up, log into my email, and there it is, just sitting there.
Also tonight, the Trump administration gives federal agencies until March 13th, just a few weeks from now, to come up with plans to eliminate more jobs focused on career officials. It's called a reduction in force. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
All right, thank you, Owen. As Owen mentioned, USAID is facing some major cuts today on Capitol Hill. Demonstrators protested the dismantling of the agency by staging a sit-in. U.S. Capitol Police arrested almost 24 people inside the Cannon House office building. Among those arrested were people from the nonprofit AVAC, as well as those from the groups Housing Works, Health Gap, and USAID. All are concerned about the cuts to international PrEPFAR funding, which aims to control the spread of AIDS and HIV. No one was hurt during the arrest. Well, President Trump also spoke today about his plan for a so-called gold card for $5 million. American companies could use the card to recruit foreign workers and give them a path to U.S. citizenship. Trump said that it would fix the problem where international students who graduate at the top of their class are forced to leave the country after graduation. Wealthy foreigners could also buy a gold card to get into the country. Trump created controversy when he said that even some Russian oligarchs could apply. The president wants to use revenue from the program to pay down the national debt. Well, speaking of spending and saving, a major victory for House Republicans and Speaker Mike Johnson after a multi-trillion-dollar budget bill passes. But it was not without drama. Speaker Johnson kept the floor open for over an hour while corralling Republican holdouts after it looked like the bill was going to fail. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales joins us now with reaction and what's next. Eric.
Well, good evening, Tracy. Yes, lots of drama up here on Capitol Hill. First of all, Speaker Johnson could not have gotten this massive funding bill over the finish line without the help of President Donald Trump. I've learned that the president personally called the GOP lawmakers who were against it during the vote, and they eventually changed their mind to a yes.
The ayes are 217, the nays are 215. Majority voting in the affirmative, the concurrent resolution is adopted.
After all the drama, the funding bill passed by just one vote, 217 to 215. The question now, will the Senate agree to the House version, which includes $1.5 trillion in spending cuts and a $4 trillion debt limit hike? First of all, the House and Senate will still have to agree on an overall spending number before a deal can be reached. So Speaker Johnson and the Senate Majority Leader John Thune are meeting to find a compromise budget resolution that could eventually win support from conservative House Republicans who were against attempts to scale back spending cuts.
This is the first important step in opening up the reconciliation process. We have a lot of hard work ahead of us, but we are going to deliver the America First agenda. We're going to deliver all of it, not just parts of it, and this was the first step in that process.
One critical fight will be over cuts to popular safety net programs, especially Medicaid, which covers more than 70 million people and is the nation's largest health insurance program.
Almost every single House Republican signed their names to what would be the largest Medicaid cuts in American history. The havoc, the damage that would do to tens of millions of American families would be almost unprecedented.
Republicans say the word Medicaid isn't even in the bill and will not be touched, but DOJ will go after fraud.
I know America doesn't want fraud, waste, and abuse. We see the abuse in USAID. We see it in programs. We see it in the spending. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, it's no different. If there's fraud, waste, and abuse, we have an obligation to go after it.
Democrats fired back, saying there's no way to hit the $1.5 trillion in cuts without gutting Medicaid, which could leave millions of Americans without health insurance coverage.
It's very bad for workers, for regular folks. It certainly enhances the billionaires and the millionaires.
Meanwhile, as Owen Jensen reported, President Trump's first cabinet meeting took place today, and it's making news up here on the Hill. The work of Elon Musk and his government efficiency group and the hot-button topics such as mass firing of government workers, takeover of agencies, lawsuits, and more. Well, Musk was in attendance sitting away from the table of the secretaries, but Democrats tell me that he shouldn't even have been there in the first place.
I mean, who next? Vladimir Putin? I feel like Donald Trump is turning over the reins of this country to people who were unelected, to these billionaire oligarchs.
Well, as I recall, in the last administration, Jill Biden ran cabinet meetings. So I'm not sure that there's much of a precedent to complain here.
An interesting point there from Republicans. Meanwhile, Musk did say that he will continue to downsize the government and aims to cut $1 trillion from the $6.7 trillion federal budget. He did say that another round of emails could come soon. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
Our President Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to travel to Washington on Friday to sign an agreement that would grant the United States access to Ukraine's mineral reserves. Here's what President Trump says Ukraine will get in return.
$350 billion and lots of equipment, military equipment, and the right to fight on.
And while key details of the plan have not been made public, we do know Ukrainian negotiators were able to narrow down the scope of the deal and pushed back on some of President Trump's demands. Ukraine's president says the agreement could be a big success, but that hinges on his talks with the U.S. president.
If we understand that the US will be one of the countries or one of the leading countries who give security guarantees, then this could be a success or the first step towards the sustainable fair peace growth of the Ukrainian economy. Or if it's just some sort of beginning without a vision for the end, we will make conclusions after my conversation with President Trump.
President Vladimir Putin has also said that he is open to selling minerals from both Russia and Russian-occupied Ukrainian territories to the U.S. Trump says that he would like to purchase minerals from Russia as well. And joining us now is Surya Jayanti. She is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. Surya, good to be with you today. So first, tell us, why are rare earth minerals so valuable and how plentiful are they in Ukraine?
Rare earth minerals at this point are critical for most of the functioning of modern society. A lot of our telecommunication systems, a lot of our technology, a lot of our energy systems depend on minerals that are, to varying degrees, rare around the world. In Ukraine's case, it has what is estimated to be about 5% of the world's proven critical raw minerals. That includes graphite, it includes titanium, uranium, zirconium, copper, and a bunch of other ones. It may be a huge portion of Europe's wealth of critical minerals in particular. And many of these are really important for priorities, national security priorities, defense industry tech, as said, telecommunications, and a lot of the space ambitions. But of course, Ukraine is at war and more immediately needs the funds to help continue fighting and to help fund the reconstruction when the time comes. So tapping into its natural resources is a natural way to raise the money.
Yeah, and how could Ukraine benefit from this deal?
Well, Ukraine hasn't properly developed most of its natural resources and most of its mineral reserves. In oil and gas, it's done a lot more, especially in natural gas. And this framework deal covers not just critical minerals, but also all other extractive natural resources. So it does include hydrocarbons, and it does include anything else that might come out of the ground and be mined like that. And although it's underdeveloped, there is a huge wealth of development potential there and a lot of money at stake. So it would be useful for Ukraine to have it developed. And it is also useful for Ukraine to have the money that comes from that put into what is essentially a trusteeship. And what is proposed under this framework deal, and it's worth pointing out that a great deal hasn't been agreed upon. It is really just a framework agreement. It's the beginning of future negotiations towards a final deal. But under the framework, the Ukrainian government will be required to put 50% of its future earnings from its mineral and natural resources into a reconstruction investment fund that will be jointly managed by the US and Ukraine. That fund will help make sure that that money is protected, hopefully grows, is well invested, but also is kept safe from a lot of potentially interested parties who shouldn't have access to it on both sides of the pond. And so I think there's quite a bit to be happy about here on both sides.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Soraya, great to be with you. We appreciate it. Thanks for your insights. And we have a lot more still to come here on EWTN News Nightly, including tracking the spread. We discuss the latest in the Texas measles outbreak following the first reported death. Welcome back. The U.S. Supreme Court declines to hear a challenge to a Tennessee law that restricts drag show performances when children are present. A theater company had challenged the state's Adult Entertainment Act back in 2023, arguing that it is a violation of the First Amendment. The first death has been confirmed in the worsening Texas measles outbreak. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says that his department is keeping an eye on it.
Incidentally, there have been 4 measles outbreaks this year. In this country last year, there were 16. So it's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
RFK Jr. added that they are doing a daily follow-up on the epidemic. More than 120 cases have already been reported in Texas, as well as several in New Mexico. And for more, let's bring in Dr. Dana Hawkinson, Medical Director of Infectious Prevention and Control with the University of Kansas Health System. Dr. Hawkinson, great to be with you. So how concerning is this current measles outbreak, especially now that it's being reported that an unvaccinated child in West Texas died after contracting measles, the first death due to the virus since 2015?
Yeah, for the nation, I think it's concerning. For that community, I think it is extremely concerning when you also understand the low rates of vaccination from their evidence of their kindergarten data. It is very concerning. Typically, we see a death for every 1,000 cases of measles. Unfortunately, there are about 124 cases now that have been identified, and we've already had our first pediatric death. Obviously, any death and any is a tragedy. So it is very concerning, especially as there is no current end in sight for people that have been exposed and the number of diagnosed cases at this point in time.
Yeah, and 25 years ago, back in 2000, measles was declared eliminated here in the United States. So why are we seeing this resurgence in the potentially deadly virus?
Yeah, I think this is certainly multifactorial. I think number one, we did have a pandemic. During that time, there was less access to care. There were less people seeking care for emergency purposes, but also for routine care. I think that has carried over. Also, we know that there are increased rates of exemption for different vaccines, especially for those typically mandated or childhood preventable diseases vaccines, such as measles, mumps, rubella. I think there's also a distrust of the medical community, the scientific community, the public health community. In addition, most people have never seen measles. Most physicians have never seen measles in the United States. We have forgotten what measles is like. In addition, we've forgotten the memory of measles. And so I think it is multifactorial, and all those things are playing a role.
Yeah, doctor, then talk to us about some of the symptoms and what should people be looking out for when it comes to measles.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard. There are some prodromal symptoms like a typical respiratory infection. Unfortunately, after that, you start to develop a rash, a characteristic measles rash, which you showed a picture of. And from there, it develops on the head and moves down to the body. And that is going to be basically the manifestation of the disease. Now, unfortunately, complications of that are varying as well. We know that about 1 in 5 people are hospitalized. We know that about 1 in 20 can get a pneumonia, a secondary pneumonia from this disease as well. And then, as I stated before, typically 1 in 1,000 cases can die. And then you can even have central nervous system effects, which affects the brain and the spinal cord, and that can be 1 to 3 people for every 1,000 cases as well. So it is not a benign disease. As you see more cases, you will see more of those complications occur.
All right, we don't want to scare folks, though. So,
No.
doctor, tell us the best way to protect themselves.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. There is no need to scare people. We have a safe, an effective vaccine that has been used for many decades. The best way to protect yourself is get yourself vaccinated or be up to date with vaccination. We know that we can develop individual immunity by vaccination, but also develop herd immunity in the community, and so that we can help decrease the spread, especially to those people that may be more at high risk of severe disease, like the elderly, those with chronic conditions, as well as those who are immunocompromised. So I think the best method of prevention is continuing to vaccinate.
Oh, Dr. Hawkinson, thank you so much. We appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you.
From measles to the bird flu, the virus is causing egg prices to hit an all-time high. And while the administration has laid out a plan to mitigate the spread, it looks like it may get worse before it gets better.
We are seeing probably even a little bit more increase up until Easter, which is actually normal because so many eggs are used around Easter. We also have only been in 30 days. I've been in 13 days. It's going to take a little while to get through, I think, the next month or two, but hopefully by summer.
In a Wall Street Journal op-ed, Rowland says the USDA will invest $1 billion in the new plan, which includes $500 million to upgrade biosecurity at poultry farms, $400 million in financial relief to farmers whose flocks have been destroyed by bird flu, and explore more egg imports. Up next on EWTN News Nightly, well wishes. A church in Gaza sends words of encouragement to the Holy Father as he battles pneumonia. Plus, learn more about a very special guest to address this year's National Catholic Prayer Breakfast. Welcome back. The Observatory for Religious Freedom and Conscience is calling on Spain's Ministry of the Interior to strengthen security against the country's cathedrals. This after threats against the structures were issued by an Islamic terrorist group. This comes as major events are set to be held in Spanish cathedrals to pray for the health of Pope Francis. A historic Catholic church in Canada has burned down in a suspected arson attack. The fire department was made aware of the blaze around 11 p.m. Friday night. Rebel News is reporting that nothing but charred remains is left. The outlet reported that this follows a wave of more than 100 church burnings. The Peter and Paul Roman Catholic Church has stood since 1910, even though it has been abandoned for decades. Members of the Holy Family Parish in Gaza are wishing Pope Francis a speedy recovery. Pope Francis has called the parish every day since the outbreak of the war in Gaza, and since he has become ill, he has managed to call a few times as well. The parish still holds its pastoral activities and currently hosts around 500 people who have been displaced by the war. Well, finally tonight, the 20th National Catholic Prayer Breakfast is set for Friday in the nation's capital, and organizers are giving a major advance warning. Vice President J.D. Vance is set to address the annual gathering of clergy and lay people taking place this year at the Washington Convention Center. Prayer Breakfast Chairman Mark Randall says the Vice President's appearance is a sign of openness to Catholic values and all the good that they bring to our entire nation. And a reminder again, you can watch the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast right here on EWTN. Coverage begins at 9 a.m. Eastern. And as mentioned, the speakers include Vice President J.D. Vance. Well, we thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Tracy Sabol. Good night, and God bless.